In this episode of the Effective E-commerce podcast, I've got Ariana on, the founder, creator of Vino cards. We're going to talk about how to get a product manufactured. And this could be in China or this could be in the States. So we'll talk a little bit about both of our stories. We've both created and manufactured or had products manufactured. So first off, as always, Ariana, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem.
And for everybody new out there, I'm doing a little mini series documenting how I taught Ariana to create her passion product, which is Vino cards. And by passion product, I just mean a unique product that you're passionate about. This isn't a typical private label thing. A lot of people are teaching private labeling, saying just take some junk that's on Amazon that has, whatever, good opportunity and put your sticker on it, put your label on it. I don't believe that's the best opportunity in 2019 and going forward. I really do believe the best opportunity is to create something that does not yet exist in an area that you're really passionate about. There's an old saying, scratch your own itch. And that's what I did for Performance Nut Butter. I wanted a healthy fat snack on the go. And Ariana, you did this with Vino cards. So for anyone that's new, actually, let's talk a little bit about your story. We skipped that in the last episode, but how did you get started with Vino cards? Just a quick version, who are you? All that fun stuff.
Okay, so I don't have a business background at all, but I did find a product that doesn't exist out there, and it kind of came together just taking some of our favorite activities and styles of learning, something that's really hard to tackle, which is wine, because of all of the information that's out there surrounding that, and over several months, we just kind of put together this fun idea and turned it into reality.
And something I want to note, because I get a lot of people telling me, oh, I can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. Ariana, you talk about what are you doing right now? You get a full-time job and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I do still have a full-time job, and Vino cards ended up being a spark from me wanting to have a side hustle and kind of have just some extra cash on the side. And this was really the perfect opportunity to still have a full-time job and have a steady income while I work on this product and launching it that hopefully turns into my full-time job.
And obviously this is a little bit of our inside joke, because a lot of people tell me I don't have enough money to start a product. Do you know what I'm going to go with this or no?
Go with it.
Oh, okay. Basically, my joke with Ariana is, she's got quite an extensive amount of student loan debt. So I say that she's the poorest person I know because she's $140,000 in debt. So the guy that's just obviously joking, but the guy that's on the street has more money because he's at least at zero, and zero is better than negative. So if you're complaining about not having enough money, to me that's not a good excuse for not creating a passion product. I don't want this to turn into a commercial for this. So let's actually get back into the production side of things. And obviously, we'll talk later about the whole passion product idea. I am releasing the beta course, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, January 8th, but let's focus on how to properly get a product produced. So in the last episode, we talked about how to design a product. Do you want to quickly go over some highlights, and I'll fill in any gaps of how to design a product, just 1 or 2 minutes, what the process was like?
Yeah, so it's basically, coming up with an idea, jotting down what you want the product
creating a mock-up,
creating a mock-up, and then finding someone that can help you with the design.
Yeah.
So maybe we used Upwork or some similar platform online where a lot of people come in and you can select someone that has the best idea or something that caught your attention.
Right.
And then from there, just working with them back and forth, getting feedback from other people as
product
you're doing
launch group.
edits. Yeah.
And for people that are new, the product launch group is a big part of the passion product formula, which is you create a Facebook group or some kind of community. You can be on Instagram, it can be wherever you want. Show them throughout the design process. I don't think we talked about this. So it's not just in the Facebook group. Post on Instagram too. Post on your personal Facebook what the design looks like and get feedback. It's an iterative process, but it shouldn't just be you by yourself. So that's a big part of getting a product manufactured, is it needs to be designed properly. And then getting outside people, we hired someone on Upwork to check it. All right, so now here's the big thing. Let's talk about the process of actually getting it produced. How much of this do you remember, and how much, you want to go through step by step? what it was like, and I'll just fill in any gaps. So no pressure.
For the manufacturing.
Yeah, like working with Sam and all those,
So Sam's been really great.
He's the guy, our contact in China.
Yeah, and we basically told him, hey, this is what we have. He already kind of knew we were working on it because he helped us kind of find our box design in general. Yeah. Told him that we've never had a product shipped from China too.
Well, I have, but
at a grand scale for me at least.
Sure.
And so he worked with us going back and forth, letting us know the details of manufacturing, how it's cost effective to purchase a lot of units versus very little.
So that was a big thing. If we bought 1,000, it would be $6.50 a unit. If we bought 2,000, it was $4.50. So we bought 2,000, for instance.
We got 2,000 units, and he basically just helped me walk through how to send him files of all of the work that our designer has done for us, and basically just. Yeah.
So here's a big thing for everybody out there watching and listening. We'll talk about how we found ours, and then how would you have found yours if you didn't have the way we did it, basically? So if you had to get this product manufactured, what would you have done? Let's start there.
Simply Googled.
Oh, is that okay?
Probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've never had that question come up before, and so I'm sure I would have Googled it, maybe tried to find a contact from someone, see if someone's had previous experience with this.
It's just hard. It's hard to do because you don't know too many people. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't know too many people in that space. So that's actually the number one thing I usually recommend to people. This is a question I get all the time: is how do you find someone to manufacture your product? I say Google it, number one, because you might be able to find. Oh, our Google thing went off. That's funny. Number one, Google it, and then if you can find people, it's just about emailing them, calling them, reaching out to them. Another example is going to Alibaba. You can find a ton of manufacturers and wholesalers that are in China, and you find products that are similar to yours, that whatever you want to do. So we basically want to get a card game, so we could find people that are doing card game manufacturing, boxes, things like that. And it's a back and forth process, and that can be a challenge. We got really lucky because you want to talk about how we found our guy, or I guess it's not that. All right, we found our manufacturer through my buddy James. Again, a name that's come up a lot during the production of Vino cards. So shout out to him. Big thank you.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, big thank you. We found it through him, and he went through a whole process of vetting different box manufacturers. And I'll probably have him back on the podcast at some point to ask him what his process was. But a lot of the manufacturers in China are terrible. We've been lucky, and we'll talk about some of the issues we've had. We've been lucky that we do have one that's pretty reliable, but a lot of them will send you, missing units or bad product, basically. So some other ways that I recommend of finding a manufacturer, and it also depends, are you looking for a foreign one or one here? Go to trade shows. Whatever, like for instance, for Performance Nut Butter, I'll go to Expo West, which is the biggest food convention in the world, basically. And I'll go there and I'll meet with people. For Ariana's product, I'm sure there's a ton of different things that we could go to trade shows and find people. But you want to compare against the prices. You want to do that. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could probably find, you could ask them for people that have worked with them previously. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's this old school thing of just picking up the phone, just emailing, obviously if they're in China, you're not going to pick up the phone, but just contacting them. Okay, so from there, let's talk a little bit more of what it was like. So I don't remember how far we were. How was it working with our manufacturer? Let's talk step by step through that process.
So again, he understood that, at least for me, it was my first time doing it, and so there was just basically a lot of back and forth with, hey, this is what I have, how much would that cost? What's more cost effective? Let's do it this way.
So he sent us, and we talked about this in the last episode, he sent us a bunch of different possible designs for the box. When we finally how did we communicate it to him? Do you remember how we communicated to him the design that we actually wanted? Because that's an important part.
Just over email.
Yeah, but like, so what did we do?
Well, he sent us different samples, and we told him we wanted something like this. And
Okay, so what is that? So I'll fill in the gaps here a little bit. We sent him an image, right, of the questions game, which was a similar product. But not only did we do that, we sent him the dimensions of it, because that was something that was different, because over email you can't necessarily tell the dimensions. So that was very important.
Yeah.
And then from there, the process was basically, I think he showed us a picture of what it would look like, right?
I don't think so, actually.
Didn't he create like a dummy, like the white dummy one?
Oh, yeah, I guess, without any of the design on it or
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, that's true.
So
and he mailed it to us.
Yeah, so he created the white dummy, and I think we approved it over email first, and then he mailed it to us. We had to pay shipping, is that right, or was it for free?
I can't remember.
I think we had to pay shipping on the white dummy sample. Might have been like $35 or something like that. So that was that part of the process, and then what happened from there? So we finally had the construction, we had the cards and everything. What was the next step?
Just sending him the files too.
Okay, how'd
What
you
the
do that?
Design was, well, I just had our designer upload it to Google Drive for me, and then I sent it over to him.
See, it's so funny to me, because there was so much conflict that happened in between them that you've completely forgotten about.
Well, a lot has happened since then.
I know, it's a crack up though. So do you remember? So that was a big issue we had, was uploading it to Google Drive. There kept being missing files, because the designer, I don't think, uploaded it to Google Drive. The designer never uploaded the files to Google Drive. You had to do that.
No, he did that for me, because they were already on there. Like, he had all of these different. Yeah, he did.
No, remember,
He
you had
put
to
them into
download it.
folders.
No, you did this. I remember you doing this.
What?
Yeah, you had to. So it was already into folders, but you had to upload it to Google Drive. And remember, we kept sending it to to Sam, the production person, and he would say, "Oh, there's missing files," and you had to go back in and redo it and redo it and redo it.
Okay, well, I didn't redo it that many times. He just told me once I'm missing number 25, 32, whatever, and then I just went in and filled those in. So yeah, it was like tedious.
Yeah, but you actually were the ones that uploaded it to Google Drive.
Honestly, I don't remember. You
So-
can fill that in.
Okay, yeah. So the way it worked was the designer gave it to us in a download link, and we remember we'd download it, but if we didn't download it in 3 days, it would disappear. So we had it on our hard drive, but we uploaded it to Google Drive. If I were to do it over again, I don't know if I would have used Google Drive. I'm sure I would use something else. This is a little bit buggy, but
It's a little buggy, although it is nice to have everything on there.
yeah, it is. But there were definitely some bugs. So I'll talk a little bit about, and feel free to interject, but I'll talk a little bit about how I found my manufacturer and how I worked with my manufacturer for performance nut butter, because it's a completely different product. So for me, it was actually cold calling a bunch of different people, and the way I found them was, one of the things I did was that every nut butter company, I called the nut butter company, asked them, do you know any co-packers in this space? Would you be willing to work with me? I found just different companies out there that, one thing I did is I went to a trade show. I went to a trade show and talked to people that have pouching machines, and the people that had the pouching machine, I said, hey, that's great, you have this pouching machine. I want to make a nut butter and put it in the pouches. Who do I use to grind up the nut butter? Who can I find that'll grind up the nut butter? And they gave me 2 different contacts, and both those contacts said, actually, we're installing a pouching machine, so you don't even need to go to that other pouching machine person. And that was really big for me. And right now, I'm kind of keeping this under wraps, but I'll tell, for the podcast listeners, I'm actually in this in-between moment of, I might need to find a new co-packer, because my current co-packer is the same thing as a manufacturer. Basically, my current co-packer is 5x raising the price on me, and I think that's crazy, because there's other people out there that can do it for much cheaper. So I need to kind of do some negotiation and or switch to a new co-packer. The process for me was a little bit different, because the people that I work with, or I've been working with, aren't a traditional manufacturer co-packer. They were just doing this on the side, basically. And what it looked like is I sent them the ingredients. They produced a sample of the product, got the flavor dialed in, and then I said, I like this formula, this tastes great. And then from there, and so part of that was, and this is something Ariana didn't have to experience, was part of that was I had to source all the different ingredients. So they gave me names of people to buy the different nuts from. So it was cashew, macadamia, and coconut are the 3 nuts, plus the Himalayan sea salt. So they gave me someone to buy the cashews from, and I was paying like $6 a pound. I now pay $4.50 a pound. So the person they gave me was terrible, like way too expensive. The macadamia nuts, I went through a few different people. I finally found someone, and there's a ton of issues with that as well. But then the coconut, they happen to have the coconut on hand, and they said, you know, you could just use our coconut. Actually, this is a part I almost forgot. The first time I bought the coconut, it was sweetened. And my product's not a sweetened product, but the coconut that I bought was I accidentally bought sweetened coconut. Another ingredient that I had to buy for performance nut butter was the Himalayan sea salt. And for whatever reason, I thought I'd have to buy this from some special organization. I just went on Amazon and bought a 20-pound bag of Himalayan sea salt, sent it to my co-packer, my manufacturer. So from there, it was just getting the flavor dialed in. Once we got the flavor dialed in, he made 500 jars or something like that. One thing when we were talking about Ariana manufacturing her product, we didn't talk about is the Kickstarter, which was an important part of the process. So I raised $15,000 for my Kickstarter. Ariana raised $5,000 for her Kickstarter. And basically that money went towards production. So the first production run to actually put the product into pouches, which buying the nuts, buying the film, buying everything, total cost 25 to 30 grand, 15,000 of which came from the Kickstarter. But I invested some of my own money into it because I believed if I could raise $15,000 just from the Kickstarter, I could at least make another $15,000 once I have the product out there. So I believed it was a pretty low risk situation. Now I'm fortunate enough where I have $10,000, $15,000 I could put into a business. I know a lot of people out there aren't that fortunate, including Ariana. You didn't have that much money, but you raised enough money, $5,000 in your Kickstarter, that you could have paid for the first production run. But we decided to do something slightly different. So I'll just tell that story. Just for Ariana, her first production run cost about $10,000 to maybe $12,000, but it's because we ordered 2,000 units. If we would have only ordered 1,000 units, it would have been $6,500, or we probably could have got the price down to $5,000 if we would have ordered 800 units or something like that. Yeah. But we decided to order more, and I loaned, that's part of my role in the company, I loaned the company some money to pay for the first production run because I really believed in the product. So we could have fully funded Ariana's first production run using the passion product formula just by launching on Kickstarter. So that's another complaint I get a lot is, oh, it sounds expensive to create your own product. Actually, if you launch it as a Kickstarter, you can get your first production run fully funded. All right, so where are we at? So we still haven't talked about shipping. We'll go back and forth. I'll talk about some more of how I got performance nut butter manufactured later. Let's go back to Vino Cards and Ariana. So once we had the final sample, we knew the construction of it, and we sent him everything, all the design work. What was the process from there? I'll fill in any gaps, obviously, but just from your point of view, what was it? And it's fine just to say, it's fine to say whatever.
You mean from when?
Yeah, so from the point that we sent him the design files, tell me about the ups and the downs. Tell me the story. Like, what was that like?
So, I mean, in my opinion, I thought once I sent over the files and he approved that he had every single one of them ready, he was going to take care of the rest. Mm-hmm. And then we went on vacation, I think, too. Or maybe I'm getting it mixed up because actually before we sent them over to Sam for it to be manufactured, when we were traveling, there were some mistakes still with spelling and everything. Oh, sure. And I had to go back and tell the designer, hey, fix this, and then we sent it over to Sam. And after Sam has it and he's ready to do the manufacturing, from there it was more of we had a deadline of when we wanted them, and so it ended up we didn't get it when we needed it. Yeah.
So we told everybody on Kickstarter, when did we tell everybody versus when were we going to get it?
Yeah, so we had the projected shipping date to be in September.
Yeah, we told everyone we're going to ship it out by September.
But it wasn't until mid to end September that we even had the designs ready. Right. You know, so it was no manufacturing at that point. And so I wish we would have said at least October, realistically November. Right. But, you know, from the time of end of September to the first week of November, it was all just manufacturing. And we had him rush ship the Kickstarter boxes. 150.
Yeah.
so that we can at least get those out before we even think about getting everything out to Amazon. And we didn't even have an Amazon seller account yet or anything like that. I was just worried about the deadline I had given the backers, that they didn't get it yet.
So the big lesson learned from that, for me at least, was first off, we should have asked earlier on, how long is it going to take you to manufacture everything?
Yeah,
we thought it would take a week or two. I think it took them 4 or 5 weeks to get everything manufactured, not even including shipping times and stuff. So that's why we basically asked if he could get the first 150 or so manufactured early, and he agreed, which I was surprised because...
I know you told me don't even bother to ask.
Yeah. I'm surprised because I thought it'd be cheaper for him to do all 2,000 at once. I don't know, maybe there was some other weird situation. I don't know how he was able to do it. But basically, yeah. So that's one thing to keep in mind. A big lesson learned from this is make sure and see how long it's going to take. What's the lead time from your manufacturer?
And then maybe give yourself an extra month or two.
Yeah, I was going to say at least an extra week or two, but probably an extra month or two is smarter.
Because no one's going to be upset if you send it out a month earlier than projected, so it's at least giving yourself a wiggle room.
And for the shipping, for the first 150, we used DHL, which a friend of mine has an account, and so it's about $4.50 per kilogram to ship over, which is expensive because one box of Vino cards is 1.6 pounds, which is almost a full kilogram, which means it costs us like $3.50 to get it from China over here. Per box. And let's talk about some issues with shipping with DHL. So anything people should know?
Yeah, just make sure it's packed properly because we ended up getting a lot of damaged lids for our box, which is really unfortunate. Luckily, we ordered a little more than the total amount of backers that we had just to have some extras. And we ended up almost using all of those extras just to send out the Kickstarter boxes. And, and we told Sam about that, and he submitted a complaint.
We still have to do that. Did you ever submit a DHL complaint?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
But he submitted a complaint with DHL, and we told him, let's get this sorted out beforehand. Like, let's add another box to cover all of the boxes. Making sure that there's extra padding in there of some sort. So that's the big point is, if you're going to be shipping with DHL, know that they throw around the boxes and some of the stuff's going to get damaged if it's not packaged correctly. So ask your manufacturer, how should this get packaged, or how is this going to get packaged? She used a very thin cardboard box to put them all in, which saves him money. Of course, he's going to want to do it as cheaply as possible. Yeah. So double box it if you need to, or use a nice thick, or use padding. Bubble wrap, there's a lot of different options. So we had 16 boxes in one box, like 16 Vino card boxes in one box.
Yeah.
And so all of them were just kind of jolting around together. It was rough.
Yeah, so that's something to consider.
I mean, we still have a whole closet of damaged lids in there.
Yeah, so right now, another way you can ship it is by sea, by ocean, and that's going to take 4 weeks. Do you want to talk about the process? You actually know more about this in some ways than I do even. What's it been like getting... Do you want to describe that whole thing? And I'll fill in any gaps. I'm putting Ariana on the spot a little bit. Keep in mind, I do this podcasting thing all the time, and I don't mean to make her nervous sometimes. But, and I have the issue too of, I have certain things that I'm like, oh, let's make sure and hit these bullet points, but she doesn't always know what's in my head. So anyways, talk about that process a little bit, Ariana.
It's just trying to collaborate with you and see what's on your mind.
Sure.
Basically, with overseas shipping to the U.S., there's a lot of these documents that you need to have ahead of time, especially to clear customs and everything. And so I had absolutely no idea what that entailed. And luckily, again, I guess Tommy, one of our friends, he uses someone.
Tommy and James.
Yeah, Tommy
James
and
comes
James.
up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, they both they referred me to someone that they use, and she has an office here in Los Angeles too, which really helps. So we were able to communicate over the phone easily. But if not, email's very simple as well. We did a lot of email. And basically, I told her, I've never done this before. Give me everything I need to know as far as what documents do I need to fill out, what permits do I need to have, if any, like anything, just tell me. And so she basically outlined everything I needed to have. It was, I'm trying to remember everything. It was a power of attorney, which doesn't sound as official as, I mean, it isn't as official as it sounds, but it's basically just a sheet highlighting the fact that I'm the owner of the company. I approve whatever charges that may.
So this has been that part's been pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it's just filling out,
signing in and some stuff.
And then, oh gosh, I don't know. There's like
the
5
bond.
other. Yeah. Oh,
so
the
talk about the
annual
bond. Yeah.
Basically, it's just a protection of any, like, I don't know exactly how to word it.
I don't fully understand it either. I think it's
Yeah.
basically so you have two different types of bonds. You can buy the single-use bond, which means if you're shipping stuff from China one time, you buy the single-use bond. It's cheaper. It's a little bit cheaper. Or you can buy the annual bond, which is like $400. And
so we thought ahead of time, how many times are we gonna?
Yeah, hopefully a number
year.
of times. Yeah. And so it's $400, and you can ship, I think, more or less as much as you want. It's basically, it doesn't really matter what it's for. It's just something you need if you're going to be shipping things.
Yeah, a lot of the things, honestly, it was kind of, I questioned it a little bit. Like, do I really need to pay an extra $400? Do I really need to do this? But, I don't know any of what it's like at the border as far as what they allow to come into the country and then for them to deliver it to my door. So at that point, I trusted our referral. I trusted this woman who's been very kind with kind of providing me all of the information. And then another thing that came up later on that I was not expecting is just the extra cost of delivering to a residential area versus a commercial area. And so it's all these little things that is worth working with someone that has done this several times and that can just outline all of that for you. And
so that's really another big lesson learned is you don't have to do this by yourself. Yeah. There's professionals out there. There's people that you can pay that will do this, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's going to come to 50 cents to $1 per box of Vino cards from China over here to get shipped, and that includes them from the Shanghai factory, taking it from there to the ship, and the ship coming all the way over here, and then from the ship coming over here all the way to getting to us. And one of the mistakes we made as well is when we were getting our price quote, we didn't do FOB, which I forget off the top of my head what that stands for right now. But basically it's something, it's like fulfilled on boat or something on boat. And it's basically meaning that the manufacturer will guarantee it getting to the boat and getting all the way up to like the vessel, the ship. So we have to pay more for our shipping because we got to get it to the boat. And that gets real expensive. There's all kinds of goofy little fees for that. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind. I don't know, any other thoughts on that?
I mean, overall, like in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of little charges that add up to this grand sum that may seem like a little, overwhelming. But really, if you think about everything that's kind of happening that everyone else is handling and you're not, to pay that cost is really
it's pretty cheap.
Big of a deal.
Yeah. And there's a lot of fees, and Ariana was getting really worked up about this. There's a lot of different little fees, but I'm like, you know what? You just got to pay it. It's just how it is sometimes. That's just how life is. Sometimes it's like, hey, you're either going to pay that little $40 fee or you're not going to get Vino cards. Like there's no...
and also this is just the first round. So it's like, I understand now kind of the process of it, and I have everything documented and what to reference. Next time, if I wanted to spend a little more time and see how can I reduce this fee, how can I get rid of that, so it's really worth it to kind of pay a little more the first time to know exactly how to do it the second time around, and then maybe find those. And
this is a big part of business I've learned is sometimes, you might have been able to save a few $100, $1,000. I'll talk for myself personally. The first time I did production, I probably could have saved a few $1,000s, but it's like, let's just get it done. You're going to make mistakes, and I think people get hung up on, oh, maybe I could get this cost lower, and I could see this in Ariana a little bit, not that she did it, but I could see that she wanted to shop around a little bit more. I'm like, look, time is money. Let's just get this done. It's not worth talking to 5 different logistics people to try to save $20, $50 even, because it's like your time is worth so much more valuable. Now, next time, when you have more time before you need the product, then yeah, sure. But for us, it's like, hey, we don't want to run out of inventory because we were waiting too long and shopping around for different prices. One mistake that we made is it would have been about $300, I believe. I don't remember if that was the exact price, but $300 to get a sample of Vino cards printed and everything. Not just the dummy white mock-up, which we have somewhere around here, but to actually get it printed, I wish we would have done that, because then we would have saw. We would have made sure that it was exactly what we wanted, and we could have color corrected some of the different things. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, because once you have the product as well versus on the computer, I could have seen the spelling mistakes or some that we came across.
Yeah, it's just a different way of looking at it, and you could probably show it to other people and get like a final feedback. We didn't want to spend the $300 just because we were pretty confident that it'd be fine. That was a silly mistake. That was something I would not do again. But
again, we're correcting for the next production run. So,
yeah.
You know.
So that's pretty much how and we talked about in the last episode how to design a product. This episode how to manufacture it. In the next episode, we'll probably talk about maybe the legal things. That's something that people get caught up a lot on, is all the legal different aspects. And of course, as I promised, let me just shout out again, January 8th. January 8th is the big date of the launch of the Passion Products formula, and it's going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be the course that I want to be remembered for, like this whole idea basically. And I want to go step by step. How can you create your own passion product? And for those of you that don't know, a passion product is creating something. How do you create your own unique product? How do you create something you're going to be proud about? Basically, scratch your own itch. Like, what's something you wish exists in the world that doesn't? I'll walk you step by step on how to create it. Now, there are different levels of passion products. Maybe for you, it's just taking a product that already kind of exists and niching it down a little bit. Maybe it's completely improving it. Maybe it's making something revolutionary that's a patent thing. It doesn't need to be anything crazy revolutionary. But the course is going to include not only the actual like step-by-step course, which will probably be 5 to 10 hours worth of videos with walkthrough tutorials. It's going to include that. It's going to include 2 one-on-one 1-hour sessions with me. It's going to include 6 group coaching calls where you, me, and 9 other people that all joined this thing, all high-level people, basically. I mean, if they're willing to invest, they're smart people. If they're willing to invest in this kind of a course, it's going to include that. It's going to include some worksheets, some checklists, step-by-step on how to do it. I'm putting everything in here, including every course I've ever created, the AdWords, the Facebook ads course, and an e-commerce course. Everything I've ever done is going into this. So you're basically not just buying a course, you're buying my passion and desire to help you succeed. Because these 10 people that I get in this course, I want them to do as well as possible, because it can provide testimonials for me. Just like I've been helping out Ariana in the hopes that her product blows up and it could be a success story. I want you to be a success story. I want you to be part of this. I've tried helping people for free out in the past, but they don't take it seriously. That's why I'm going to charge a little bit, but it's going to be a crazy good deal. I'll talk about the price when it gets a little bit closer, but you'll see it when you go there. It's going to be a crazy good deal. If you want more information about that, go to effectiveecommerce.com/beta, BETA, to be part of the beta group. That'll probably either, depending on when you listen to this, there might be an email sign up or it might be the actual product. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. In next week's episode, I'm going to announce the winner of the monthly one-on-one consulting session giveaway. And if you want to enter the giveaway, leave a 5-star review on iTunes. By leaving that 5-star review, you're entered to win a free consultation session with me. Plus, by leaving a review, you just really help out the podcast. The more reviews we get, the higher quality guests we can get, the more Ariana's top level quality we can get on there. So please leave that review. Thank you guys for watching this. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video/podcast.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.